Hey guys, this is episode 2.2, and we're talking Wonder Woman again, but this time it's filled with spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, probably want to turn back now. Otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your doom.
Welcome to your doom.
Yeah, so let's get into the spoiler section of the boss battle. So I do want I've got a starting place. We're starting from the beginning of the film and sort of like ripping through it.
Go for it.
But Themyscira,
Yeah.
amazing looking. It's just like they've done a wonderful job like putting together Themyscira as a place, as a convincing place, and all of the characters that fulfill it. There is a nice little intro at the beginning where Wonder Woman's mother, Hippolyta, is telling a young Diana that about the Zeus and Ares. Mm-hmm. This is one of the points where I was like, I wish they pushed it further. They do this like Greek mythos summary. I like the style, but I was hoping for more flash. Like I wanted them to push it, that stylistic retelling of the mythos further, right? You know who's done it? Guillermo del Toro's done it in Hellboy 2, for example, the beginning with the marionettes.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen a movie called A Monster Calls, but they have sub-stories within that movie. That's the one with the giant tree and Liam Neeson's voice.
Yeah.
Amazing movie, amazing book. Read it, watch it. That's my plug. But they have a series of sub-stories in there that have done this like beautiful animation. It's done really, really well. Krampus does it for the Krampus storytelling, does stop motion animation.
Yeah.
Right? Deathly Hallows, Harry Potter, does a similar thing, right? They went with the Greek classical sort of motion painting approach, which is cool, and it's obviously thematically connected. I just kind of wish they pushed it further. I wanted to see them like go full on, like whole other all style, very flashy, something a little more. But what they did, I like what they did. It
was a little more subtle. My problem with that is I didn't like that they're like, they're all gone except for Ares. It doesn't leave. It closes a lot of doors. No, you're right. That bugged me. I
wish they. And you know what? They can look. Frankly, they can turn back on that at any point.
They really could.
They could just say that the gods are reincarnated every so often.
What the fuck do you know? We're still here. Told you what you wanted to know.
That's right. But I agree with you that Zeus was killed and Ares is the only one left. I'm like, come on, guys, let's leave things open. I want to see another movie where she talks to Zeus. I want to see the Greek mythos explored in the way they are explored in the DC comics, where all these people are characters, right? Yeah. And the way Marvel, obviously there's a Marvel parallel here, right? Marvel has dug into the Norse mythology, right? And they've represented that in a way that is that is digestible by the current audience. I'd love to see them do the same thing with Greek mythology.
Yeah.
So what did you think of the beginning? What did you think of that Themyscira stuff?
I thought Themyscira was very, very well filmed. I forgot what Robin Wright's character's name was. Antiope. She had a very defiant edge to her, which was kind of cool. Obviously, like training Diana. But it was a wise defiant edge. Like she was doing it on behalf of Hippolyta because she would just not come to that conclusion herself, but she knows that she should.
She knows that
she was basically thinking on behalf of her if she was able to think about it properly.
Right, yeah,
to take emotion out of it, be like, this is what we should be doing. The multicultural thing was cool.
Obviously, we mentioned that earlier, but I loved seeing all of the different cultures on Themyscira, all of the different races being represented. Very, very cool.
Yeah. One thing I will. It's not even much of a complaint, really, but like she never really earned the right to go off of the island. Outside of, you know what I mean, like in some of her other origin stories, she
wins a competition,
or has to fight through it. She doesn't really get that. I was kind of hoping for that, but again, this is in a movie that I thoroughly enjoyed. This is me nitpicking.
Yeah, anything here that I have to say that's negative or like I want to see a different thing is pure nitpicking.
There's only one thing about this film that I didn't like, and I'll get to that when we get to that part. But there's. She is the God Killer. So I don't think in this story or this plot that she actually needs to earn her right. She just needs to show that she knows how to she's able to invoke the God Killer power, which is essentially like her her bracelet tap.
Yeah, the bracelet tap, yeah. So when she proved that, basically I think they're essentially saying, yeah, you're ready to go out there, and if you encounter Ares, whatever happens, you will learn how to use your powers. Yeah. Right?
My critique in it is also coming from the comic booky, nerdy background. I think that for a general film goer, I don't think they would have missed it at all. Because the film itself lended itself to her leaving the way she did perfectly. Absolutely perfect.
Sure, yeah.
Like, it was, you know what? Like, I don't agree with what's going on right now. And I think that this man should be escorted back, and Ares is definitely the problem, and I need to kill him. So I'm going to get the god-killing weapons and get going. It totally made sense. Absolutely.
Yeah.
For me, it would have been kind of cool to see her, like, taking on some of the other Amazons. But you know what? For a film that's already 2 hours and 21 minutes,
too long.
You found a tight way to get her off of the island that makes complete sense. I'm not complaining.
Cool.
I'm saying in the extended version, if they throw that in, I'd be okay with it.
Yeah. Beach action scene.
Did you say beach action scene?
Beach.
Oh, beach. Yeah. My apologies.
The beach action scene
Sorry.
was pretty great. I thought the whole, like, the Germans landing. What shot I loved? I loved when they showed the Germans coming in on the boat and just kind of in the background showing their boat just sinking awfully in the distance. Did you see that?
No.
In the background, like the giant, because they got the rowboats coming in, but in the background you notice that their frigate, like the giant steamer that they're on, is just like sinking.
Really?
Yeah, because it's run aground. Right, because they're not aware that there's an island there, and they run aground, and their whole boat sinks like tragically.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, in the background, it's just like falling over, and they're like rowing to shore. That's why there are not so many of them. And I thought that was a nice touch where they didn't have to focus on it; they just showed it in the background, and it makes 100% makes sense because that boat is not built for that clearance. So that I thought that was pretty cool. The beach action scene was great. Again, I want more. Like the action, there are certain action scenes where I wanted more. One shot of there's an Amazon, and I can't. Maybe it was Ethiopia. I'm not sure. But she's on a horse and she's got this long spear and she skids the spear along the sand. Yeah. And she's kicking the sand up in all of their faces. I'm like, oh, that is just fucking brilliant. Yeah. That's the kind of uniqueness I like in my action scenes, right? Show people something they haven't seen before. Show the Amazons that they're using their geography to their advantage, right? And this is exactly that. She's kicking all the sand up into them and then flying off her horse. And the other thing I think they did really well, that something like, for example, Lord of the Rings did not do very well, they tried to show, I think they did a good job of showing the Amazons being in very good control of their horses. Mm-hmm. Like, their mounts are, like, they're jumping off of them, they're leaning off the side of them, they're leaning off the side and shooting bows. Like,
they even showed it during their training scenes, not even just the battlefield.
It's all very tied together.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
It's all very tied together, all well thought out. It gives me acid flashbacks to this really awful shot in the Two Towers where Legolas mounts his horse in slow motion. I don't know if you remember the scene where they're about to get attacked by wargs on horseback that attack them in the Two Towers when they're going to Helm's Deep, and in slow motion this horse jumps by, is galloping by, and he like awkwardly turns into a CG ragdoll and like grabs the horse and like goes up and like mounts him in mid stride, and it's an awful shot.
Yeah, I know the shot you're talking about too, and I'm not even a huge Lord of the Rings guy at all.
terrible.
Yeah.
And I get the sentiment because elves are closer to their mounts, like they can gracefully mount and dismount. They don't need saddles, stuff like that. This movie did it 150 times better. And it's very organic. Loved it. I love that stuff.
You don't need like a huge, long-winded scene to basically establish something like that. I mean, this one,
they didn't.
Just
They
a few
didn't use
shots
that.
in the background of them training, doing that, and then all of a sudden everything made sense.
Yeah, and I mean it pays off again with the shield thing.
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
So I love that callback. The only problem I had with the spear and the sand thing throwing in everyone's eyes, the payoff to that scene, I don't remember being very good.
Yeah.
I don't remember there being a payoff. I think it just gets lost in the editing. It's just kind of like they do that and then someone flies off and it gets lost at the end.
There was a lot of the same. I found there was a lot of very slow motion, jumpy kind of shots. There was too many. Like one or two too many, but it was like one. Okay, there's one. Oh, that's really cool. All right, cool. That's really cool. They're doing it again.
They're doing it again. Yeah.
There was a few. On that beach scene in particular. There was one too many.
There's one shot I loved when Antiope calls for the shields and she jumps over and they do the slow motion shot of her shooting three Germans.
Yeah.
There is one guy.
Yeah.
This German, you should see the way he fucking dies. So I've seen it twice now.
Lord.
And when I saw that scene the second time, there is one guy who dies from one of the arrows.
Yeah.
And he is overacting so hard. You should see his face. He's like in slow motion. I'm doing something crazy.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is audio. But.
Yeah, that's right. But it's really, really funny. If anyone can, if anyone sees it again or when we get it on, Blu-ray, whatever, check out that scene because there's one guy and he's in the front and he's just really selling. He's selling it. He got shot.
That man
was shot.
He's seen an arrow in the face.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I think if the director, focuses on that, she's going to wish that he did get an arrow in the face because that is quite the overacting.
Fuck.
But anyway, that's the beach scene. I think it was great. I thought it was great. Again, nitpicking on action scenes. I can be very specific about what I want, but that by no means means that this action scene did not meet my standards.
It's more just to give an idea of, what? They could have done something this way or that way or whatever, right? Like, it's not... when we critique something in a negative way... Not taking a shot at it. Exactly. Yeah. We're not taking... This would have been cool. Or maybe it wouldn't have. Maybe they tried it and it was shit. We don't know, but it's just something to think about.
Right.
So I guess what happens after that? So then obviously they take Steve Trevor back. They interrogate him with the lasso. It's pretty much
that lasso scene was so good. Exactly. This is another example. I just feel like it's another example of like Pine just being the best Pine he can be. Let's put it that way.
The best Pine.
He is the best Pine. He is so good in this scene. Like just the way he plays, how painful it is when he's trying to lie. Oh man. The one thing is going to come back again and again. The audience was in stitches. I saw this movie twice. And both times, like 2 weeks after the movie came out, this audience was laughing the whole time when this shit was happening, right? Oh, man. It was a great, great scene where he's forced to tell the truth about the war.
Yeah. He's constantly...
And he screams out the one part where he's like, I'm a spy! I'm a spy! I'm a spy! Like that kind of oh man, great delivery. I'd love to see the outtakes of that scene.
Oh,
I'm sure that scene is absolutely hysterical.
There's got to be a lot of ad libs.
I'm sure. Yeah,
that was good.
It was a great scene.
He hit the nail on the head on that one for sure.
Yeah.
Then there was also the later moments after just the interrogation itself, like him being down there, the whole like. Are you an average man? He's like, pretty average. But like, it goes back to that whole thing that you said before. Like, he's not being. I mean, at that point, he's just. I would think he's being honest.
Yeah, he thinks he's being asked a certain question.
He's being asked. Yeah, exactly. He's not trying to. It doesn't seem like he's trying to be douchey or overly suave. He's just kind of like a little better.
Yeah, yeah. No, he gets a moment of being masculine.
Yeah,
but it's funny because that's not even what she's asking about.
Exactly. Right? And he delivers it in an unconvincing way.
So he's not sure.
Because he's not sure. Exactly. Yeah. Like when I mean in an unconvincing way, like the character would deliver it that way. Like the character would not presume to say it in a way that makes him seem favorable.
Sure.
Just like
I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you I got a little dick.
Yeah. That's right.
And who wants
That's
the
right.
average? Like
that's right. Actually, you make a good point.
Yeah.
He's even in the moment where people would puff up their chests and be like, "I'm awesome."
Yeah.
He's almost like questioning what he should say.
Exactly.
He doesn't even want to say it, but he also doesn't want to leave himself in the dust, so to speak. So he's kind of like halfway full of himself in that moment. And then realizes quickly that she's not talking about that. And he's just like, oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so what I have here, like, anytime Godot and Pine are together on screen, I think it's honest to God fucking magic.
Yeah.
Like, this kind of chemistry, I think, is lightning in a bottle. Like, I think I've gotten used to seeing romances or drama build up on the screen that I don't actually emotionally connect with, where I just assume that's how you're supposed to feel, right? And just accept it. That's how you're supposed to feel. But this one, I was 100% caught up in this drama right up until the end. I feel like the end of this movie is a heartbreaking experience.
I was shocked.
Yeah, I was... And the way it's edited together, and we'll get to that toward the end, it's just brilliant, and it's all based on this chemistry leading up to that moment. And these guys exchanging this dialogue is perfectly written, perfectly executed. Just I loved it. It's
so
great.
Obviously, at this point in the story, he goes from being somewhat their prisoner to her having to take him off the island to try and go and fight Ares.
That's right. Yeah.
That boat scene with the two of them,
slays.
Fucking so good.
It slayed both audiences when I was there. People were fucking dying. They were laughing that lines of dialogue were missed.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't see it. It's perfect. It's perfect. Their delivery is perfect on both sides, man.
It's
both
one of
sides.
these things that I wrote down. So I wrote this down in terms of being a scene that wasn't needed. Now, what I mean by that is, does it contribute much to the plot? No, it doesn't. It's just
all character.
It's all character, and if you take that away, the story will continue. But good lord, do the characters suffer for that?
Oh, for sure. That scene on the boat builds so much. It builds so much for them.
Absolutely.
I think it's a perfect character building scene.
Right.
And like you said, it's dangerously long. Like if you watch it, what you said, like I feel like, oh my god, like you watch that scene, it's a couple of minutes long,
at least,
like many minutes, but they don't. They deliver their lines so perfectly that it's like the goodwill you gain from that scene and the character building you gain from that scene is well beyond the 6-7 minutes that you spent on that boat. Yeah. Right? They fucking absolutely nailed it. Superbly well written and engaging. I loved it. Like I said, the audience was in stitches both times. Yeah. 2 weeks after the movie came out. I was very impressed. And this sort of leads into the fact that I'm absolutely love the fact that Steve Trevor isn't a douche. Yeah. He's not a douche, and he's learning these things for the first time. It's an easy cop-out to fix on the sexism and the misogyny. Everyone is treated even keel. And in this scene especially, that's where you can delve into that.
He's 100% chivalrous.
Yeah, it's amazing. And this movie is about bigger things. I love this movie taking the high road and being like, no, I'm not sinking down to that level of caricature. Yeah. Right? Yeah. I want this to be a movie to empower women, but I don't want to do it in the cheap way. Right. And this is the most convincing way. And I applaud the movie. Or the movie is not a person. I applaud the people making this making this movie, making that choice. Yeah. Yeah. Right. So what else we got? So after the boat, they get to London. They do a couple little hijinks around London, which are really, really funny. The call-outs to Superman, Donner's Superman. Richard Donner's original Superman. I love those.
I didn't notice those.
Oh, with the glasses. She wears the glasses.
Oh, the glasses. Yes, yeah.
She puts on the thing. She's like, oh, put on the glasses. She puts on the glasses on and looks in the mirror. And then later in the alley is right from, I think it's Superman 2. Superman 1 or Superman 2, where Lois gets held up in an alleyway. Yeah. And Clark is the bumbling guy who's super scared, Christopher Reeve, and then they shoot and he goes in front of her and he catches the bullet.
Yeah.
And like drops the bullet. And she's like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" She's like, "Oh, I must have missed me," or something like that. This is the exact same scene. It's a parallel to that scene.
Not really.
Yeah, she blocks a bullet in an alleyway.
But then she shows the guy. She's like, "Look, motherfucker, this is what
exactly.
I got."
I know it goes different, and then, but
it being
goes
an alley, okay,
it goes different.
I'll see the parallels, but it
goes different. But also, if you notice
quick.
in that scene, her glasses fall off, and then she steps on them. So that's what they're saying. Okay, this is a different movie, right?
Oh,
it's a
Lord.
different.
Fine.
It's a different movie.
Fine.
Well, okay. You know what?
I don't read into this shit this much.
I've had the privilege of seeing the movie twice, so it's something that came to me. It came to me the first time.
Fair enough.
It came to me the first time.
Thoughtful motherfucker.
But yeah, no, the Superman parallels are definitely there, and I enjoyed every second of them. I thought they were very, very cool.
I could see that. Gal Gadot's acting prowess. Seeing her like when she hits London and just I want to see this, I want to see that.
Yeah.
Like it's just so like
the baby scene. I love
the
when
baby
she's
scene.
Like,
yeah,
babies. You're like, no babies.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
She's just so like wondered by everything. Just everything seems like incredible to her. And she's I want to experience this. I want to experience that. Which to somebody who's been living on an island that's been secluded from the world, you see all these little things and you've heard about them, but to see them in person, you'd freak out. You'd be super excited.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I agree. Her bewilderment is actually one of the. It's such a. It comes from such a
place
genuine,
of innocence,
genuine place.
Yeah,
that you can't help but being engrossed by that performance.
Right.
Supporting characters. So we jump in from there. She goes to get changed essentially, and then she goes to the peace treaty, the treaty. I can't remember what they call it, the armistice, like peace agreements. She disrupts that, but then she meets all these guys at the bar.
Yeah.
By the way, a bar which I would 100% drink in.
Oh, good Lord!
Very, very cool looking place.
Shut the place down.
Yeah, I'd shut that place down 100%. I would drink there. And you meet your secondary characters, of which Samir actually truly stands out, I think. He's a great character actor. I've seen him in a ton of movies. I have no idea what his name is, but great actor. And Ewan Bremner, who is a very, very is an amazing actor himself, right? All meeting up in this place. And I love the supporting characters in this film. They all add a layer of complexity to Diana's worldview. She has a certain view you should see the way she's progressing through the movie in terms of power level and worldview.
Yes.
You notice like during the movie, her powers are slowly growing, like as the movie's going on. I love that continuity where she finally learns to fly.
Yeah.
In the last part of the film. Right, and she finally learns to use her bracelet powers, but the supporting characters, again coming back to the supporting characters, her worldview starts off in Themyscira thematically as being like a certain type of view, very constrained to just the island. Then she meets Steve, and then she gets a certain piece of it. Then she goes on the boat and gets to London, and she gets a piece of it. Then she meets Samir, and she meets Ewan Bremner's character, and she meets Chief. Right? Yeah. And then she gets another part. Then she gets to the war, and then she gets another part. And then she gets to meet, finally, Ares, and she gets another part, right? Like Samir says, we're all fighting our own battles. Like, each character adds a nuance and a complexity that's layered onto Diana's ever, increasing confusion about the nature of humanity.
Yeah.
I think. So, just when she thinks she has it figured out, she speaks to one of the secondary characters, and it sends it burns down her whole worldview. Case in point, fire pit scene, which I love. I love a good fire pit scene where everyone kind of sits down and chats. But Chief, first of all, she speaks to Chief in his native tongue, which I thought was super cool.
Yeah,
I thought that was super cool. And then Chief says, she asks him, why are you here? Chief says, at least, here, everything was taken away from me. Here, I'm free. And she asks, who took it away from you? And he says, his people. And she points at Chris Pine's character who's sleeping.
Yeah.
And It's like everything gets torn down again because like you think, you know, like Steve Trevor is a good character, like is a good person, like he's trying to help, but his people have done something so awful, right?
Yeah.
How can these two things exist at the same time? And it's this complexity that she has trouble understanding. Yeah. And it's the one that Steve tries to explain to her that he's not successful.
Yeah.
Until the end of the movie where she understands that there's a split for everyone. But I love that. And they don't have to have a lot of screen time for that. It's just one exchange. The look on her face, Godot conveys the confusion.
Yes.
Right? And it's like, and in each character, Ewan Bremner, like having nightmares about the people he's killed, right? Stuff, and Samir, the racism aspect. Samir being, I want to be an actor, but I'm the wrong color. And they're all dropped at different times in the movie, adding layers of complexity, introducing Diana to the complexities of everyday life.
Yeah.
Basically. And I absolutely love that. I've talked for a long time, I've realized. Sorry. All right. Anyway, how do you feel about that? Or, whatever. How do you feel about any of these scenes that I
You hit the nail on the head on that completely. It was just a genuine scene. Like, you definitely see her... At that point, she's slowly becoming aware that maybe all that she's thought of the man's world or all of these things isn't necessarily that. Like, even the shot where they were crossing that bridge and she sees, like, the people with maimed limbs and all that. Yeah. She's just like, whoa, hold on. I thought that war was a pretty simple thing. It was all cut and dry.
Yeah. And or innocents don't suffer.
Exactly.
That somehow they're excised from the actions of war. Only soldiers are involved. You know, like that kind of thing.
Right.
All of these things are broken by her experience.
Exactly.
And just
so
when she
slowly seeing that happen, and it all seeps in.
Yeah.
Then I guess the next thing after the fire pit scene is really going straight into no man's land, right?
Yeah. That's the next thing I've got here. So the No Man's Land scene,
fantastic.
I've got to tell you, like what the shit. Like, I would go as far as to say this entire scene is legendary. Mm-hmm. Like, legendary in the way that, what would I say? What would I compare this to? I would compare this to. In the Matrix?
Yeah.
The first Matrix. What fight scene?
Probably the alley, or not alleyway, sorry. The hallway. Not
the
hallway.
The lobby.
Lobby,
right?
That's what I meant.
How that lobby scene was completely, like, it changed the game.
Yeah.
It changed the game technology-wise.
Sure.
But it's the scene that people remember as being an action beat that was so amazing. Right?
Yeah. Strong, different, heavily motivated. Everything that happened in the scene made sense.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to go there armed to the teeth because they have to rescue that person, even though it is definitely the odds are stacked against them.
Exactly.
In this regard, it was the same thing. She heavily believed in what she was doing, and that we needed to get past this battlefield, and I'm the only one that can do this. Let's do this, regardless of whether it puts me in jeopardy or not. And the other thing, too, is... though she seemed capable of getting across that battlefield, you could kind of see somewhat while she was going across that, like, I can block the bullets and this and that, and all of a sudden there's mortars, and all of a sudden there's more bullets, and all that. She's like, fuck, I might be a little bit in over my head.
Dude, and she gets the helping hand.
Exactly.
Oh, I loved that.
As
I loved
soon as
that she
happened,
didn't do it on
like,
her own.
Fuck, let's do this.
Yeah, she didn't do it on her own.
Exactly.
And she couldn't move. She was pinned.
Exactly. She's drawing all their fire. Let's go. Over the trenches.
And this is what I am coming back to, the thematic tying in of what this movie is trying to say. Mm-hmm. She has, in that scene, that scene conveys the entire theme of the whole movie. She's inspired people to take action. She doesn't do it all herself.
Right.
She's inspired other people, and with their help, they achieve their goal.
Yes.
Right? And Patty Jenkins somehow, I don't know, like, on every level has, like, this theme has seeped in consistently throughout the film, and is like, I keep saying this, but it gets wrapped up in a nice bow at the end and saying, here, like, consistency.
Yeah.
And of theme and everything we do in this movie is for a reason, right?
Yeah. My only beef with the No Man's Land and the scenes after is I did not like the colors that they put together in the film for it. They gray washed it or whatever you want to call it. Blue washed it. They blue washed the hell out of it, and it never got any better.
Yeah.
Now my beef with that is that, like, okay, sure, when it starts, it should be blue washed. That makes sense. Everything's dull and bleak, and then all of a sudden she comes out there and fucking there's the suit and everything. It's like, yeah, even if that's still blue washed early. Okay, sure,
but she's not blue washed.
She's somewhat.
She's not. I mean, like she's actually pretty colorful, and I think they made a point of that. When
everything's blue washed and
she's colorful,
muted. Yeah, she's colorful in regards to that, of course.
Yeah,
but it's still blue washed.
Yeah, the whole scene. I think that's the dichotomy again. I feel like it plays thematically into
But here's the thing: is that it keeps it starts out there and it never gets any better. It stays at that muted level, even when she blows through that fucking the tower.
Yeah.
It just stays at that.
Yeah,
I think it would have been better for them to kind of slowly, gradually color up over time. And here's the thing: is the reason I noticed this as much is because the next scene is the dancing scene and the love scene.
But I thought there was warmer colors there with the lanterns. The lanterns, yeah.
The lanterns were warmer.
Like yellow lanterns.
Sure, the lanterns were warmer, but the darks were fucking dark.
Yeah, for sure. It was nighttime.
No. There's a difference between light. There's a difference between nighttime with a fill and nighttime with no goddamn light.
Yeah.
Because the blacks were fucking black.
Yeah.
It was dark as shit. That when they got back to the I don't know, I'm assuming hotel room. I guess they don't have a hotel.
The hotel.
It's
the
like,
Ritz.
let's take this building.
When they got back to the Ritz-Carlton.
When they got back to Diana's room and the love scene happened.
Yeah.
It was black. The fucking scene was black. It was all black.
There's no electricity.
Fuck off. This is film. You put a fill light in there and you light that shit up a little bit. You don't want fully dark pixels in your film at any point. That's not what you want.
I get it. I mean, I get it.
That pissed me off. That was one thing I noticed. Is that
that was the major gripe?
That is literally my biggest gripe about the film, and you just heard it. Yeah. So that is a testament to how much I like this film.
Right. You're complaining about the lighting.
I'm complaining about the lighting in like a couple of scenes.
Fair enough. Yeah. No, I mean, I can understand that sentiment. My take on this is that the No Man's Land scene is purposefully graded. And her suit actually pops.
It pops. In relation to everything else that I won't disagree.
And I think that's thematically in line with what they would have been doing, what the message they're trying to convey in the entire film is that she is this ray of love and hope.
I think it should pop more.
You think her suit should pop more, or the scene should get more colorful as she is?
I think it should.
As she is, basically inspiring other people
with the colors that she has. I think that regardless in whatever color scheme that you have, whatever filters you put on the lens, it's going to pop. So that's why I think everything should be not boosted, but you know what I mean. Like everything should be not grayscaled or blue washed or.
Well, let me ask you this: would you want a clean pop or a dirty pop?
No, I do not want Justin Timberlake near any of my films. So I don't know.
I thought that was funny. Pop. Sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm going to see myself out.
God damn it. I'm sorry. Fucking Jack. This is what we get.
So, okay, we'll agree to disagree on that one.
Well, I don't think we're disagreeing too much, really. I mean, do you think it should have been like a full-on... What do you think?
I think having her be the color in those scenes, it fits with the story they're trying to tell. Okay, right. So I get the story that they're trying to tell. It fits it, but they're writing the story.
Yes.
So that's the first thing.
Sure.
And you are right. I agree that the movie should not have been washed because a lot of it is all the outdoor scenes when they get to the party, when they get to the cocktail, whatever, gala thing. The inside looks really nice. It's very warm. It's got some of those colors in it, but the outside is always blue.
Yeah.
And then it goes to mustard for the gas.
Yeah.
And then it immediately becomes nighttime.
Yeah.
So actually and you see this movie is split not even in half because Themyscira is only like what, a quarter of the film, but that is mind-blowingly colorful.
Yes, it's very vibrant, very beautiful,
and the rest of the movie's not. So
London, I understand being dreary, and
because that's kind dreary,
of the war should totally be dreary. Yeah, for sure.
But like you said, they're writing the story. They can. Telling a war story and having everything be dreary colored may fit the theme, but that doesn't mean people don't want to see color. I guess
yes, exactly.
Right? So I get that. Yeah. I get it.
I think it would be, like I said, just during that scene in the village.
I love that scene though.
Oh fuck! It's the best scene. It's the best scene in the film. Well,
it's a great scene when Samir comes over, serves them beer. Ewan Bremner is singing at the piano.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that scene. That's a great respite after an amazing action scene.
For me, the dancing scene and everything, I was like, it's a little dark. And then when they got back to the room, I was like, good lord! Like it's literally black pixels. This is, to me, that was a mistake.
Right.
But it, like I said, that is my only quote unquote harsh critique of the film.
Right. Yeah.
Is that some colors were a little too dark? Are you kidding? Like,
I agree with that.
That's me looking for nitpicky.
Yeah, I can get on board with that. But the No Man's Land scene itself, though, was amazing. When she comes out, she blocks all of the bullets. I love the way the bullets are also hitting her shin pads.
So hold on, I'm gonna stop you. The last time we were talking about a podcast, we mentioned that Black Widow had not had that fuck yeah moment.
Yeah.
The fist pump moment. Yes. That's the way you put it.
Yeah.
Same with Hawkeye. Same with most of the bit part characters.
I mean, even like I would even say, like, we're talking about female characters. I would say that Scarlet Witch is also someone I'm very bored with.
I'm not as bored with her.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
The moment in Age of Ultron where after Hawkeye gives her that fucking awesome speech and he's you got, what is it? We're fighting an army of robots and I have a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
None of this makes sense. And he's just trying to hype her up. And then all of a sudden she comes out of that door and she just fucking just lays waste to someone. I'm like, all right, cool.
Small tangent. I think my problem with the Scarlet Witch is that in the movies, they fucking don't describe any of her powers and she just does stuff.
Yeah, but that's always been a problem with the Scarlet Witch.
She can like make you see stuff, and sometimes she's moving shit with her hands. Sometimes she's like Vision, like like weighing him down, and he's like falling through the floor because he weighs 1,000 pounds or whatever. No, I'm just like, I have no idea what this woman is capable of.
I never had a problem with that because I knew enough about the Scarlet Witch character from the Marvel comics that I knew she never really had an upper limit to her powers. She was the one that caused the whole No More Mutants thing. No More Mutants. Yeah, she's just No More Mutants. Yeah, House of M. Yeah. All of a sudden, she just managed to have the power to fucking destroy reality.
I thought in the comics they established the fact that her power is far-reaching and horrific.
Yes.
In the movies, they don't really touch. They make her powers tangible. Like it's like moving tables and like moving stuff and mind control. It's just like nobody really talks about what she's capable of ever.
They haven't talked about it, but they've hinted at the fact that she really doesn't have enough. But she can do anything. It seems like this thus far at the movie. She's got the mind stuff. She can be powerful. She can rip Ultron to shreds.
Right.
Or she could be terrified and not do anything.
Right.
Whereas in the books, it was the same deal. Like there were times where like, oh, she has some hex power, she can move some stuff around, and then at other times she alters the entire universe.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same thing. It's just they haven't explicitly said that in the films yet. So as a comic fan, I get it. I see where they're going with that, but I think that for the general moviegoer, they need to have that nod.
They need to establish what's the boundaries of her.
I agree with for sure.
So anyway, you were mentioning Black Widow. We didn't have
there wasn't the fist pump moment. Yeah. Scarlet Witch, I would argue, had that, but this one was the fist pump.
Oh, dude, 100%
for me for cinematic female characters.
Holy shit!
Harley Quinn didn't have that in Suicide Squad.
No,
she was entertaining as fuck.
She was, yeah, she was.
But she was still. I mean, you compare her to the fucking the main villain of that film.
Yeah.
What's she gonna do? Hit him with a bat?
Yeah.
Hit her with a bat?
A mallet.
With a mallet?
Yeah. Having said that, I would love Harley Quinn to meet this version of Wonder Woman. I think that would be a great scene.
It would be an amazing scene.
I think that would be great to have them meet. And anyway, that is what it is. you're right, fist pumping moment. She jumps into that room of Germans, and the theme music kicks in.
Yeah.
That was amazing. I think a lot of people I've been reading had issues with the theme music. It doesn't fit the movie, blah, blah, blah. Everybody just shut the fuck up. This theme music is amazing. It's not a theme in the same vein as like the Superman theme. It's more of a riff. Yeah, I guess I'm not a musician, so maybe I'm not using this terminology correctly.
It's not an opening credits theme.
Yes,
Batman was an opening credits theme.
Superman was
an opening credits theme. Yeah. This wasn't.
This is a riff, and when it kicks in, I get goosebumps, man. She murks that room, and it's hyper stylish, and oh man, it was great. The only problem I had with. The only issue I had with it was there's one or two strange slow-mo shots where I'm being nitpicky here, but there's one with a bayonet, and it comes in like when it's slow motion, then she goes flying in the other direction. I couldn't quite figure out what was going on there. Like I wasn't sure. Maybe she was being attacked with a bayonet, and then she jumps over, slides on her shield.
Yeah.
But all in all, the choreography was top notch.
Yeah.
When she murks that guy, like kicks him, like bursts out of the side of the building, like knocking the guy out of the side of the building. Oh, fucking brilliant! And then the callback to the shield thing from the beach. Yeah, amazing. I loved it. And Absolutely. She doesn't even hit the guy in there. She takes out the whole bell tower.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous. Yeah. Oh, it was ridiculous. I loved it. There was people were clapping. Yeah. When that happened, and I haven't been in a theater in a long time.
When she hit that bell tower, I was like, oh man, she's gonna go after the sniper, and then she takes out the entire tower.
She's like, F it. I just want to be sure.
Oh, it was so good.
Yeah, it was crazy.
No, they crushed it. That was one of the better action scenes I've seen in a while.
Yeah, and here. We touched on the scene after where they're where everyone's kind of drinking and Ewan Bremner's character is singing at the piano and everyone's dancing. I feel like I was 100% invested in this relationship, and it was not cheap when they spent the night together in that scene. I didn't feel like that was unearned. I wasn't like typically I just accept it. I liked Man of Steel. Yeah. I didn't like Batman vs. Superman very much, but I liked Man of Steel. It's a problematic film, I think, but I enjoy it. I revisit it every once in a while. But I do think the kiss between like Clark and Lois is not earned in that film. This one is 100% earned in my mind. I feel like they've done it absolutely right here, and in Man of Steel, it's more of like me saying, "Oh, they're just supposed to be together, right? So let them be together, and let's move on, right?" Like that's kind of my take on it. This one, I'm like 100% invested. Anyway, we talked about that, but what are your thoughts there?
In a film, I will not usually notice like, oh, those blacks are too black, or the scene is too dark, or.
Right.
This one, I think I noticed it because I was that invested in the relationship as well.
Right.
I wanted to see that first kiss. I wanted to see how everything unfolds.
Yeah.
And for me, it was just like, I was looking at that scene, I was like, oh, why is it so dark? I can't really see what's going on. And that's a testament to the way they, because like I said, that's not something I am actively aware of in whenever I watch a movie. In this one, I was very aware of it, and I think it was because I was so invested in that relationship at that point. Everything from that boat scene all the way down. I mean, even the little things like. So I fully expected Steve Trevor, like he was kind of misleading her to some degree to make it sound like it was this simple to say, okay, we're going to go to the ward and we're going to go fight Ares.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not that simple.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, he was never really lying to her. He totally intended, or it seemed like it, that he totally intended to send her or to go with her into the fray of battle.
Oh, absolutely.
Try and find Ares wherever he was. Was it as straightforward as he let her believe?
No, he was never. I don't think he was ever really trying to find Ares. He slowly
but he was trying to get her to a point where she could be in the fray of battle and potentially try and find Ares. He wasn't. At no point was he just telling her what she wanted to hear just so he can get back to London.
Yeah, no. Yeah, he was very genuine.
Exactly. So I think that that kind of feeling of being a genuine person and trying to do the best for whatever, for whoever he's trying to do something for.
Yeah.
It led itself all the way from Themyscira all the way back to London, all the way over to the battlefield.
Right.
Whereas if you look at the animated film, Trevor was kind of a dick.
Oh yeah.
The first thing he tried to do as soon as he got back to
seduce her. Yeah.
Yeah. It was
just to get her drunk.
Yeah. Tried to get her drunk and she drank him under the table.
Yeah. Entertaining. Animated movie is entertaining and people should definitely watch it. It's a different take on this relationship.
Yes.
But I actually prefer this relationship.
Yeah.
This characterization of Steve Trevor to that one. Antagonists, I wanted to talk about them a little bit. Ludendorff, obvious red herring, throwaway villain.
He was obvious. He was obvious for me as soon as he wasn't obvious at the beginning. He was not necessarily Ares at that point for me, but he was not obviously not Ares until Ares
showed up.
Not showed up
until
he started saying, "No, don't go over there." What was the Lord? No. The fake name of the actual Ares.
I can't remember his
Sir
actual
Patrick.
name, but
Sir Patrick.
yeah.
That's what
David
it was.
Thewlis.
David Thewlis was the actor. Yeah. And it wasn't obvious. As soon as remember when he called
he's telling him not to go to the
don't
party.
go to that party. As soon as he said that, I'm like, that motherfucker's Ares.
Yeah, he's egging him on.
For sure.
I love his plan. He doesn't really touch on it, but he wants Diana to kill Ludendorff.
Yeah.
To fucking completely destroy the armistice negotiations.
Yeah.
So the war continues.
Yeah.
So he, I don't think he ever actually says that, but I knew it from the beginning, like when he talks to her for the first time.
Yeah.
It's a little, in my opinion, it was a little too obvious. Ludendorff, throwaway villain. Dr. Poison, though, I thought she was a very interesting character. Her arc, she's got like a little bit of an arc in the movie, and her payoff at the end, I liked where they went with her. She had minimal amount of screen time, but I thought it was very neat what they did with her in such a short period of time. But Ludendorff is a throwaway villain, and also if they had like super inhaler, why didn't they just give that to the rest of their army and win the war that way?
Right.
Which is a plot hole that I'm 100% willing to look over, just because I thought the movie was pretty good.
Yeah, I agree.
So
it's one of those things. He should have been like, what's his name? Not Savage. Basement.
anyway, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Ludendorff, whatever. And
he should have been. He should have been. Oh God, Vandal Savage. That's who he should have been.
Oh, dude, that would have been. Oh my God, you just blew my mind.
That's who he should have been.
If
Ares should have recruited Vandal Savage for that, and that's who he should have been. Because I love Daniel Hudson. Danny Huston.
Danny Houston.
Houston.
In New York, they say Houston. Everywhere else, they say Houston.
I love the actor.
Yeah. He's good. He always plays a villainous role.
Yes.
He was in the Wolverine, and it was just kind of weird.
Wasn't he? He was. What's his name?
Not the Wolverine. Sorry, Wolverine Origins.
The Origins. Yeah.
To the pool.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I know. I'm trying to remember the name of the character. Stryker. William Stryker.
He played Stryker in that movie.
Yeah. Went from Brian Cox to him to some dude that looks a lot like the guy from what's his name?
The young guy, right?
Yeah, Dude, Where's My Car?
Yeah,
I can't remember that actor's name now. It's a three name.
Yeah.
Sean William Scott.
That's
Sean
right.
Michael Scott.
Sean
Scott.
William Scott. That's it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Stifler. Diana's reaction to the village being gassed
Fucking A.
was extremely convincing. Godot was just really, really good. So much emotion. She actually feels that she was truly betrayed by Steve.
Yeah.
And you kind of like the audience a little bit with her reaction. I was kind of like, if she just killed Ludendorff in the party, that wouldn't have happened. But the armistice would have completely collapsed. So you have these two combating views, even when they were in no man's land. And he's walking through. He's like, look, we can't save these people. That's not what we were here for. The greater good, not for these people. They might be part of the greater good. Right. We don't know if they'll survive. Right. But
she's looking for the small battles. He's looking for the big battles.
Yeah. She's not looking. She's not looking for any battles. She doesn't have that notion of anything that's big or small. It's like the same size.
She's looking for the win.
Yeah, he's looking for the
big win. Yeah. Whereas she's just looking for, this is the problem, I'm going to deal with this one now.
Exactly. Because she doesn't understand the complexities of the war. Right. The complexities of humanity. And that scene where he's like, this is not what we're here for. Yeah. And this is what I love about his performance, is because he's exasperated.
Yeah.
By the end of the movie, he just can't explain how or why people do what they do.
Yeah.
Right? And he's so exasperated. And we'll get to that in a minute. But you feel hurt when, like, the gas goes off. The logic says that that was the right move because killing Ludendorff would have collapsed the armistice. But at the same time, you're just like, oh my God, like you could have prevented this. Yeah. Right. So she freaks out, and jump in if you want to add anything to these.
The only thing I want to jump into is let's talk about the party real quick.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
The girl that Diana stole the dress from.
It's great. I love when she stands beside her and like looks at her.
Well, my first question is, that lady looked very distinguished. What was she leaving her car for?
She was just upset.
Was she upset? Yeah. She was going into the woods to be upset?
Yeah. No,
or was she going to pop a squat?
You think she was going to take a dump in the
woods? I don't know what she was doing, but for me, somebody that was a little upset, she wouldn't go traveling into the woods for the fun of it.
Hey, man.
It just didn't make any goddamn sense to me.
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
Well, right? I would assume so, but I feel like, I wasn't alive during the 1920s?
Don't even go there. Don't even
We've already established my history. Shit.
That's right.
But all I'm saying is that I don't know that woman would have gone into the woods to go and take a shit if the opportunity to not have to take a shit in the woods presented itself, which was probably just a...
I actually think...
if you tell me that she was going to take a shit, we're going to have words.
Here's the thing.
Oh, my God.
Her car was stopped because Pine was trying to get in, and they were doing that whole, Samir was doing his whole act thing. She probably had to take a dump. She had a couple of, bratwurst or whatever earlier. And then,
she has them after a few Heinekens, yeah?
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Wait, the Heinekens?
The Heinekens.
So, she's stuck in a line. What do you do when you're stuck there and you have to go number 2?
I don't know. If you're in a full dress and you're a woman in that era, I feel like you hold it uncomfortably until you get to drop it comfortably or you die. I feel like that's how that was perceived.
That is extreme, my friend.
It is absolutely extreme. I think I would have preferred it if she would have been like, I'm going to drop a deuce right here in this goddamn cab. If you don't move this, and if they don't move it,
that's what she should have done.
Absolutely.
I'm kind of wondering how Diana took her.
That's in the porn parody.
Yeah, how it took her out. Just kind of maybe punched her in the face and stripped her naked. So she's probably just in the woods naked.
She might be. Well, I don't have any other explanation because Diana kept her clothes.
Yeah, that's right. Because she kept the suit on. She's not she's okay, here, take my cool suit.
No, she just took her clothes.
I'll take your dress. No, she just took her clothes. Yep. So
she didn't pack a duffel bag for this situation.
This scenario. She wasn't planning a stayover.
No.
So if she wasn't planning a sleepover, then she's probably just lying in the woods naked.
Probably.
Naked and afraid.
Regretting that she ever left the cab to take a shit.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, that just goes to tell you, don't do that.
Don't take a shit in the woods.
No. Don't leave your car and take a dump in the woods. Otherwise, a really beautiful woman will steal your dress. Even if you're not wearing one.
Fair.
Anyway. So yes, there's another logical weirdness here where they obtain their car.
That was so good. I love how randomly silly it was.
It was just where'd you get that from? It was just over there. There's a bunch over there. I'd like to see I'd like to see the meeting where they're like, yeah, that's good. That makes sense.
I appreciated that scene so much because they
went out of their way to tell you that I don't know, it was fucking over there. That's literally what they said.
The way it was delivered, it was for somebody that for a person that are film buffs like we are.
Yeah.
It was so obviously something that the writers room wrote in that they're like, yeah, let's just say it's over there. There's a bunch of them. Of course they're there. And as soon as they did that, like, I obviously noticed that. I'm like, fuck, that is a ballsy, awesome move.
That is a ballsy move right there.
But the thing is like, how can you dispute that?
Because maybe they are.
They
just
probably
over
are.
There.
The fucking the I don't know, the what is it, the people that come and take the cars when you
Valet,
those motherfuckers.
Oh, maybe that.
Probably a bunch of cars in there with keys.
Was it a valet? Maybe it was a valet.
There might have been one down the road. It's Germany.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I just feel like they have very efficient parking structures over in Germany.
Okay,
in the 1920s.
Fine, yeah, exactly. Right next to this castle, they have like a 4-tier parking garage. That's what that guy made it sound like. They're just over there.
Yeah, they're just over there.
But the keys in them.
Exactly. But here's the thing, is if you tell me a lie in a film, make it consistent. They told that one lie and they didn't contradict it any time.
That's true.
Like, oh, yeah,
that's true. They went for it. They're like, that's the explanation, moving on.
Exactly.
They didn't spend any time on it.
They made it comical and then they just let it roll. At that point, It's
funny because the shot's really wide angle. It's obvious that it's like 80 yards. They're like, it's over there. It's kind of like in the distance. It's like, maybe it's played for laughs. Like, I have no idea how to take that line, but I think
it was totally, it was totally,
when I heard
it was
that,
totally
I'm just
played
like,
for laughs.
Okay. Whatever, right?
It seemed like it was if one would look at it, it'd be like, oh, that's a cheap explanation for how they acquired a car.
Yeah.
But the way they delivered it was that they knew it was a cheap explanation, and they're like,
played right into
this is cheap as fuck. But you're gonna laugh.
They played right into it.
Exactly.
So
I'm glad you called that out. That was good.
Yeah. Her fight with Ludendorff. Super inhaler. It was cool. I thought the fight was cool.
Yeah.
But in the end, I think it was ultimately sort of a waste.
Foregone conclusion.
Yeah.
Yeah. They didn't need. Well, I guess they kind of did, because you don't want to do the reveal with Sir Patrick.
Yeah.
But the thing is, from the get-go, it wasn't convincing. I knew Ludendorff was not Ares from the very get-go.
Yeah.
Granted, I'm better at that stuff than most people, I think. But this, you understand that kind of, you know when a film's
the tropes,
purposely trying to lead you off course.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I knew that Ludendorff definitely was not Ares. But just. I don't know. It was
okay. It was a nice moment, and they didn't make the fight too long, and it definitely was a bit one-sided, except for right at the beginning there was some exchange.
Yeah.
But it was one-sided, and she pretty much dominates that fight.
I think that the selling, not even selling, but like the key moment on that was just her look. And again, it goes back to her looks and her reactions to the emotions that she's feeling that she hadn't really done before. Her look of looking around and being like, this should be all done. And we're good. And she's looking around and seeing all the devastation that's still, or the
munitions loading, exactly, and all of that stuff.
What devastation could be foregone from that? And she's just looking at it and just thinking like, oh, fuck, what this should be done.
It's confusion. Confusion has come back again.
Yeah. And then rage.
Yeah, and then she gets really angry. This is a scene I want to talk about because this is my 100% my favorite scene in the entire movie. After Ludendorff is killed, the war essentially continues. People, so like you mentioned, they're just loading the gas into the plane and ready to blow it and like basically just kill a shit ton of people. Steve shows up. Diana's in shock, wondering why this hasn't stopped.
Right.
And like why the Germans haven't stopped and started just giving out free hugs, right?
Yeah.
Godot and Pine play this scene fucking brilliantly. But on this particular scene, I have to give to Pine. I know I've been singing Pine's praises a lot in this review. Godot is amazing, and I'm going to get to one of her deliveries that I absolutely love later in this review, just toward the end. But Pine's reaction here, where he's absolutely trying to explain, he's like, the level of exasperation and desperation in his voice in his physical acting, like when he's trying to convey, he's like, listen, like, there is no Ares. What if there is no Ares? Like, what if we're just awful people, but we're also good people? Why, you know, like we're both, right? It's like, you as an audience member, you get it. You get he's trying desperately to explain to her that nothing is simple. But, you know, he's not succeeding because in the end, it's so mindless and so awful the way we treat people, and the fact that we would go to war on this scale, it defies any explanation. He can't explain it because it just makes no sense. Yeah. Right? And trying to explain that to someone who hasn't experienced it before will never get it. They'll never get it, right? So I absolutely love this scene. Like, the earnestness here, coupled with the fact that he simply has to leave. Like, he literally can't have this conversation. He has a time limit. He's got to stop the plane. Yeah. Right? So he's like, he cannot afford to stand here and explain it. You know he wants to, but there's no time. So he basically is just exasperated. He's trying to explain it, and he just can't because it is a fundamentally mindless thing. I love that scene because of that. She just doesn't get it. Yeah. She doesn't get it. Yeah. Right? And he can't, and he's trying to explain it. He's so exasperated, and he just has to walk away. I've got to go. Like, he just keeps saying that. I've got to go. Yeah. And he walks away, and I'm like, holy shit, that was a great, great, great scene.
And he realizes that she's not grasping it. Yeah. And he doesn't judge her or think any less of her.
No, he doesn't.
He just, you know what? It's just, I have to go and do this. I'm not having this argument right now.
Yeah, I can't explain this to you.
It's not her fault.
Yeah, it's not your fault. Yeah. And he also takes some of the blame in that speech. He's like, what if it's me? Mm-hmm. Like, I've done bad things in my life too. That's right? A good point. And it's just like, it's a wonderful, I think it's just a wonderful scene. By far my favorite scene in the film, even more than No Man's Land. No Man's Land I'll use to like demo my system, and it's a legendary scene and all that. Yeah. But personally, like on a very personal level, that scene is what makes this. That's the thematic, the themes that this movie is playing with, and that sells the movie for me. Right.
I mean, for me, the in terms of what unfolds the rest of the film. There's the typical action scenes. Ares reveals himself. Did you see that coming from a mile away?
Yeah. No, I knew it was David Thewlis. Yeah. Thewlis' character. So Ares. So I was waiting for him to show up. Yeah. I really wanted to see him. And you know what? I love me some David Thewlis. I think he's great.
He's a good actor.
He's a good actor. He's been in like great stuff. I loved him in like Kingdom of Heaven. Yeah. Gangster Number One is this UK film. Is really great. He was even in Dragonheart, which I loved him in Dragonheart. And he was in Harry Potter playing one of the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. The werewolf.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
Performess Lupin.
Lupin, that's what it is. Right. Yeah.
I think he does a great job when he shows up because he carries some weight. Yeah. And he plays the scene quiet.
I think he was good throughout the film, even when he was trying to be a little more reserved. When he sends him off, it'd be like, I will fully I can't do anything, but I will fully support you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just even the little, when he's reserved, and then when he goes full Ares, he's just like...
Yeah, but I'm actually talking about that scene where he confronts Diana. Yeah. Before he goes full Ares.
Full Ares, right. Where she walks in and then all of a sudden he's
outside.
It's just, exactly. It's so passive, but at the same time so aggressive.
Yeah, exactly. He's being... He thinks he can convince her. Yeah. Otherwise. So he does a great job here, like with monologuing on the humans and, what they are, and showing Diana a world, like what it would look like without them. Honestly, I think it's a truly convincing argument.
Absolutely.
And he plays it very quiet and calm. Yeah. And he's a seasoned veteran at that. He does a really good job of playing that very, very subtly, like the whole scene. And then he goes full Ares, right? And I have mixed feelings about his full Ares, but I love the scene where she's like surrounded by trees and like grass and greenery, and he's like, this is the world as it would look. Yeah. And I'm not responsible for this. I just kind of gave them some schematics. And I love it goes back to that. If you watch the movie again, you'll notice small things earlier in the film when Dr. Poison is sitting there and a wind blows in the office at the beginning of the movie. and a piece of paper comes flying towards her on her desk, and she opens it. She's like, I think I figured something out.
Yeah.
That's Ares. Like, they show a scene of him walking, whispering and stuff like to her, and like the wind blowing. It's such a weird scene at the beginning of the movie. You don't know why it happened, but it's Ares essentially
giving her a hint
of which direction to go in. So I loved that scene. Going full Ares.
Yeah.
I don't. Basically, this is what I think is basically Jedi / Magneto Ares. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I didn't. I love my hero battles to have some like uniqueness to them. So Jedi Force battle, Magneto hand waving. I honestly consider that to be a cop out. I would have honestly, I almost groaned in the theater when it's just like, oh, he's just like lifting stuff up and throwing it at her and controlling it and stuff like that. I'm like, come on, like we've seen this 100 times. Show me something else. If I wasn't so caught up in like the drama between Diana and Steve, I would have been like groaning at this like action scene. But like I did have a note here where I'm like, yes, it was kind of like not very unique, but not nearly the level of what I thought jarringness as like clone Wolverine and Logan. Mm-hmm. Like I would compare that level of dismay with the clone in Logan, and they're not the same level, right? That's like remember you said that was your big complaint was the lighting in that scene.
Yeah, this
is my biggest complaint in the movie of like Magneto Ares. Yeah, like I fucking hated every second of that. But I didn't. Sorry, hate is a strong word. I don't like using that when I describe movies or
you
art.
can say it. It's easy to say, but you've already described what you mean.
Yeah, I mean to say that I did not enjoy that. I thought they could have done much better. But I disliked the clone Wolverine in Logan much more. And that was close to bottoming me out on a movie that I thought was great.
Right.
Than this was at all, right? So this wasn't in any danger of making me dislike the movie,
right?
But the clone Wolverine thing was like, oh my god, and he's it keeps coming back, and he's a big part of the movie. I'm like, fuck, this is really annoying, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I would compare it to, but not nearly on the level of Logan.
So for me, that didn't bother me at all.
Really?
The Ares hand wavy stuff didn't bother me at all because anytime I see something like that, whether it be a video game or a movie or whatnot, it just shows how much farther ahead the other person is than the other. If they don't have to do anything other than just wave their hands around,
supremacy,
Diana doesn't know shit at that point, right?
Yeah,
Ares has got all the cards at this point. Fuck, I'll wave my hands around. You can't do shit to me.
Right.
It's that moment where all of a sudden she started understanding exactly what she is and who she is and what she can do.
He's got to armor up.
He's got to armor up.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden it's time to start taking things a little more seriously.
I get that. Actually, that's an interesting take on it, and that can sort of soften my view on that piece. And in the meantime, like the rhetoric he's sort of tossing when he like the his sort of speech and his dialogue, all enforcing the fact again coming back to the themes of the film, like he's not responsible. Humanity is responsible. Right. I love that sort of they're pushing that, and then it was in this scene. Sorry, I've skipped over my notes here. Sorry. He gets his armor.
Yeah.
Right? And I've been waiting to see this Ares armor. I think Ares' armor in the DC Comics is just really, really cool. And they went in a completely different direction than I thought they would go in.
Really?
I was expecting and I wanted something else. I get what they did. What they did was symbolic of his involvement in the war. Mm-hmm. He builds his armor out of the spoils of war.
That was cool.
The iron from the tanks and like the girders and the barbed wire and all of that stuff, which is cool.
Yeah.
And you know what was really fucking cool is when he smelted the thing in his helmet. I was like, oh, that's just badass. I love that. But I wanted to see the regal Ares. I wanted to see God Ares. Like, I wanted to see him look like a god. That armor that's shining and that he's superior. He's superior to all of you, right? I wanted to see the shining armor, the regal armor, like the stuff where you're like, he's amazing and terrible all at the same time.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to, even the armor he had in the Injustice video game was pretty amazing. Right? I'm like, give me that kind of ornate, engraved armor. I wanted like that beautiful, terrible sort of look to him. They went with sort of what was thematically linked to the film, which is building it out of the war machines around him.
Right.
So it turns out to be grimy and greasy and rusty and all that stuff, which I get, but I kind of wish that they went with the regal sort of godlike look.
Right.
Yeah. That's my take on the armor. I did think it was looking pretty cool. I thought, like I said, the melting of his mask, very, very cool when he builds that. And the weapons coming together super quick at his side. I thought that was very cool. And that was very much in line with his comic incarnation, where he's building weapons from like nothing. They sort of like teleport in.
Yeah.
And it was very, very cool. That was neat. But again, I just wish they went regal with it.
I didn't mind it not being regal, really. I mean, to me, the regal to me just seems it's got an air of arrogance and sophistication to it that is just so far above whoever he's fighting. And to me, his actions depicted that.
Sure, yeah.
The armor didn't need it.
Right.
But from a stylistic... See, the thing is I'm not as visually inclined as you are, I think. You can draw things way better than I could. You see things that I don't necessarily see. I'm a little more surface level. You take things a little more deep. So for me, it was a little easier for me to digest that.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I did. The look didn't bother me. That smelting of the helmet was fucking dope.
Dude, that was so cool. I love that scene. When I saw it again, I'm just like, oh, it's even better. I think the movie plays better the second time.
Really?
I actually quite enjoyed it the second time.
I had to see it one more time.
Yeah, I love when he burns the holes in there. Yeah, and you know what? I do. This is some of the stuff like I enjoy, and I buy art books for films so I can look at the design process and all that. So I actually quite like that. Not to say what the decisions. These are all amazing artists that work on this film. So I'm just like a couch, critic, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But in the end, I loved what they've done. But I have like a personal outlook where I was like, oh, I would have loved to see this. But that doesn't make or break.
Exactly. Yeah. This is us nitpicking at shit. Just giving whoever's listening to us another perspective.
Right. I have a question. Do you think Ares always, like even in his mythological form, always had a mustache? Because you know what?
You're gonna ask that.
Because there's the scene where he gets struck down by Zeus, and it shows him in like a cave, and he looks up at the camera. I can't remember in my mind. I've seen it twice now. I can't remember in my mind if it's David Thewlis with a mustache. Can you imagine like him having that huge duster? Like in like the Greek mythological paintings.
Who wants a mustache?
Right? Like I was like, wow, that is like a monstrous mustache for a mythological.
That is the being. Mustache that wars would be fought over.
That's. I mean, that's right. That's true. I'm just trying to remember if in that scene he's got a mustache, where he's struck down and he's like in a cave.
I can't remember.
Oh man, it just means we have to watch it again.
Yeah.
But mustachioed Ares in the armor did not look very convincing. He hams it up a little later in the fight, like I will destroy you and stuff like that's where his performance starts falling apart.
Yes,
it starts going into sort of the cliched zone again. 100% goodwill has been built. Willing to overlook that. I can compartmentalize my feelings about the film. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I feel like they could have, again, done something different with that delivery.
Yeah,
it's not his fault. He just looked a little hokey underneath the mask with that mustache.
Agreed. So, no, it just it didn't look right. Yeah, I totally agree. I think it would have been better just seeing his eyes. Keep the chin, everything just covered, and then he just smelts the eyes, and that's it.
Just the eyes, yeah. That would have been cool. Yeah. Steve's scene with Godot, I have a couple notes here. The editing here was brilliant. where she's like got shell shock, she can't hear what he's saying, and then it comes back later.
Yeah.
Oh man, editing brilliance. This scene I find to be like gut wrenching every time I watch it. It's like a true thematic and emotional payoff to absolutely everything that was built up in the movie. Godot's delivery here, this is one of the things where I think like Godot's standout like delivery here, where she keeps saying, "Steve, let me do it. I can do it. I can do it." She's trying to talk over him as he's saying stuff. It's just like, it's like heartbreaking. It's gut-wrenching when she's trying to say that, but she can't hear what he's saying.
I was going to say, she technically doesn't even know what she's saying she can do.
Yeah, she's just trying to
she understands
that something's going to happen. Yeah, exactly. And she's trying to talk over him, so I was super invested. You know, the movie does for romantic relationships what other films that spend 2.5 hours just on a romantic relationship cannot do. And it's perfect. It's a brutal scene to watch. And it's a great payoff and 100% necessary. Again, thematically, it's 100% necessary. Steve has to prove to her that humanity is worth saving, even after, you know, Ares or no Ares, humanity is worth saving, and I'm going to prove it to you. By doing this. So I absolutely love that scene, and my wife watching it, she hates watching that scene. Like every time that comes on, she's like, "Why did he have to do that?" And that's the mark of a good movie, right? It's a mark of a good movie, like where you talk about scenes like that, where it's like it's painful to watch, ultimately necessary for a character for Diana to be who she ends up being. Yeah. So
I wrote down a note. For Steve blowing up the ship, and I wrote down, why didn't he just Captain America it and drop it into the water? And then I started thinking, he's not Captain America. He'd fucking die if he did that. So I take back my original thoughts on that. I'm just me, Jack Daniels, and my notes can eat shit at this point. I'm just gonna keep. No, it's one of those things that it totally made sense in terms of the narrative. Like him and from the narrative is one thing, and then also from future films. You're not gonna go back to a guy that was in the World War I. He's not coming.
Oh, back. He's done. Yeah, he's done. And there was just no way he was. I knew from the beginning there was no way he was making it out of this movie alive. There was simply no way. But the way he went out, oh, dude, even that last scene where he's looking at the camera and he's kind of like breathing and getting ready to do it. He has a little smile on his face before. It's just, I don't know, man. It all works. It works on a level for me that like any other Chris Pine performance does not. Or any other, like a lot of other romantic performances do not. It just works. It works. Maybe I'm partial to the material. Obviously I am. I grew up on these characters. Well, when I say grew up, like I read a lot of Wonder Woman. I didn't read a lot about Steve Trevor. Right. Because, I mean, Steve Trevor wasn't, at least when I was collecting comics like weekly in the 90s, like he wasn't a part of those stories. Right. Like Artemis was Wonder Woman when I was reading comics for a little while, right? So I didn't really know a lot about Steve Trevor, right? So, but yeah, no, his sacrifices, it's a gut-wrenching scene. It's very, very well done. And her reaction, her rage, and then she picks the tank up and she's going to smash Dr. Poison. And this is where Dr. Poison's arc really comes in and like rounds out the whole moral of the story, right? Everyone has a little bit of darkness in them, right? It's about managing that darkness and inspiring them to do better.
Yeah, but is it a darkness? No, sorry, not as a darkness. Is it an arc?
Her character doesn't have an arc. Sorry, I meant to say,
what I was going after.
I don't know. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I've been referring to it.
She hasn't changed.
She has not changed.
She
at all.
ran away, and the first thing she did was like, "How can I get poison to kill her?"
Yeah, that's right. She immediately started working on other poison.
Absolutely.
I like to think she's a changed person.
She is not.
After that encounter,
she is not a changed Persian.
She's a changed Persian.
Yeah. Was she Persian?
Yeah, I don't know. Probably not. But I'd like to think that she has changed based on that encounter. Right. But, whatever. That's fan fiction for another day. Jesus. So, yes, I've been referring to it as an arc. It's not really an arc. It's a thematic arc for the film.
For the film. Sure.
Yeah. But I love that scene when she holds it and she just refuses to do it. And then you have kind of like that hokey, like love, hope speech thing she does when she's reflecting all the stuff. It is a little cheesy. It's a little cheesy.
It is, again, from a film standpoint. From a comic standpoint, there was something that resonated with me.
Yeah, for sure. You're right. That's true. From a comic book standpoint, that delivery is pretty on point. For the average viewer, I think it is a little cheesy, but earned. I think it's earned.
Sure.
I think it's
still
an earned,
still a bit hokey,
moment.
But yeah, definitely earned.
Yeah. And then you get the destruction of Ares, and then the final scene where she sees Steve Trevor's picture on the poster, and the other folks are alive. Samir is alive. Ewan Bremner's character is alive. Chief is alive. I like the idea of any future Wonder Woman sequels actually dealing with the ancestors of these characters that work with Diana.
Yeah.
I like the idea of them allowing these secondary characters to live on in descendants, and have Diana work with them. I really would like to see the direction of the second movie use that in some respect, or even in modern day. Maybe she's built like a society based on these folks that have descended from the people that she helped, stuff like that.
Sounds incestuous.
Not necessarily, but anyway. But yeah, any other thoughts on the end there, on the ending itself?
Not really. I mean, we kind of discussed most of it. Like I said, the original thought I had was, why didn't he just Captain America it? And obviously, I answered that question.
Right.
No, I thought it was well executed overall. It's nice kind of how they tied it back into the modern era where it was Bruce
the wraparound story.
Yeah, the Bruce via note, saying, I hope you tell me the story, and kind of leads into other things. And hopefully they take notes as to what was successful with this film and what wasn't.
Right.
There wasn't much. I mean, it's more what wasn't successful with the previous films. The only thing that I had a beef about at the very end of it was, so she goes up to the top of, where was she? Do you know?
She was she was at the Louvre, so she's in Paris.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
What the hell did she jump out of the building towards?
Not a clue.
So she was just jumping out. Maybe she was going for a swim.
Maybe. There was water there.
There was water.
Yeah, that's right.
She was in full armor.
Yeah, she looked like she was looking at something in the distance. I was expecting to see smoke.
Smoke? No, there's no smoke.
But there was no smoke.
There's no smoke.
Maybe she's just going out for a run.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But she seemed very determined.
Very like an evening run.
Yeah,
she's just an intense person.
Where she may or may not kick the shit out of some people.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. They've also didn't touch on the fact that she did not really operate between World War I and modern day.
Maybe that's for the sequel.
Yeah, maybe. That's right. Because, the one thing I'm afraid to even touch on is the fact that nobody knew of her existence before Batman vs. Superman in their timeline. Which implies that she hasn't really been operating as Wonder Woman. Well, but maybe she says that she decides to... Like, I thought part of her speech at the end was that, I'm going to try and inspire. Yeah. So maybe she dropped the Wonder Woman guys and actually started a bunch of charities and did this volunteer work and start all of that stuff.
Maybe.
Rather than take on the superhero persona. And because they were never faced with any sort of superhero-ish level of villainy. That is not a word.
Something.
Villainry. Up until Doomsday, for example.
Yeah.
Right? So that I was willing to brush aside too. I'm sure they'll deal with it. They'll do their magic writing, whatever it is that they do to fix continuity issues like that, right? But no, all in all, I mean, definitely enjoy. I even enjoy the end credits, which were really well put together. I don't know if you stayed to watch the end credits, but I love watching end credits because the art that they put up there is typically some concept art, very hyper stylized art, very well put together in this. And they use the theme obviously over the end credits, so it's or the riff. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
except better.
Except not me.
Yeah,
making sounds.
Yeah. So, no, man, I 100% enjoyed it. I think I'm gonna be doing a poster for Wonder Woman. I've got this really great idea.
Oh, don't talk about it.
I won't say anything. I'm just gonna try and do it. I've got 2 other posters I'm trying to finish right now. Once I finish those, I'll jump into the Wonder Woman one. But
dope.
But yeah, any final thoughts?
No, I hope DC takes notes as to what worked. Keep going forward with that.
I've got a great idea. I think I have great expectations for Aquaman. I think that they've given these movies to like really hungry directors like Patty Jenkins and like James Wan, and I hope James Wan knocks it out of the park with Aquaman. It probably won't be at the same level, but maybe a relatively. I'm hoping for a great swashbuckling sort of fantasy movie, right? Mm-hmm. My argument is right after that movie comes out, Brave and the Bold, Aquaman, Wonder Woman movie. Forget Batman and Superman. Forget the Flash. Forget the Cyborg. Brave and the Bold, Aquaman, Wonder Woman movie. 100%. Like,
dude, to me, that is the equivalent of, and it's not the equivalent of. It's above it, but it's the equivalent of Marvel going, fuck it, let's do Guardians of the Galaxy. Who the fuck has really heard of those guys?
That's right.
Granted, sure, people have heard of Aquaman and Wonder Woman, but I don't think anybody is taking them seriously until all of a sudden Wonder Woman is a very, very good film.
That's right. Yeah.
If they can do the same with Aquaman, fuck. Doing a Brave and the Bold's easy peasy for them,
Brave and the Bold concept is a great concept in the DC lore. It's just bringing 2 characters together that typically you wouldn't see together, right? Now, it's not that you wouldn't typically see Aquaman and Wonder Woman together, because Aquaman's a king, Diana's a princess. Like, they have had this sort of relationship in the past, where there's been a connection there, right? So they've spent time together in the comics, continuity, obviously. But I would love to see that label, the Brave and the Bold. I would have loved to have seen them made a Batman Superman movie called The World's Finest.
Yeah,
these DC really heavyweight titles that they use to describe certain types of stories in the past. Let's dig into that DC mythology and bring that out, man. Yeah. Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Brave and the Bold, 2019. How about that?
I could dig it.
Yeah.
I could dig it.
She needs to learn to swim. She does swim. She swims very well.
She does.
She swims very well.
She got down to the bottom of that lake?
Ocean. It was an ocean.
Was she, though? It's Themyscira. At that point, maybe it's no longer really ocean territory.
It's possible.
It's more like a beach.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. A lagoon, if you will. Yeah. All right. Anything else? I think we're good.
I think we're good.
We've
discussed plenty. We've drank a lot of this Jack Daniels.
That's right.
We put a hell of it. This shit was like... All right. We went from about... we drank about a quarter of a bottle of Jack Daniels plus a little bit more... More than a quarter, actually. Yeah. More like... You
could probably hear the drunkenness settling in as this podcast went on.
Yes.
But...
I can hear it.
All right. This is Alto Katru signing off.
Justin Carcassoli also signing off.
See you guys.
Take care, guys. Cheers.